India is one of the most populous countries in the world, with a huge territory. Today it has a pulsating economy. It is part of the group of countries called emerging countries. Together with Brazil, China, Russia and South Africa, they also form a group of countries known as BRICS. Did you know that India is the youngest of these 5 countries? Did you know that the Indian state is completing 73 years of existence this year? Shall we go to class today? One of the most important independence processes of the 20th century was, without a doubt, Indian independence. In the context of imperialism, India was the most important colony of the British. It was called the jewel in the British crown, received increasing investments, including the construction of a wide network of railways. In addition, there was the implementation of an educational model guided by the Western standard in the country. From the opening of the Suez Canal, which had been built by a Franco-British consortium in Egypt in 1869, Indian foreign trade grew around 7 times until 1920. The Indian population increase was phenomenal. For you to have an idea, in just 50 years, between 1881 and 1931, the Indian population increased by 99 million people. But rising poverty, fueled by British racism, helped to slowly build Indian awareness. The Indian territory at that time was larger than today, comprising the junction of present-day India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. It was so big that it was known as the Indian subcontinent. 2 religions stood out, Hinduism and Islam, and ended up building different centers of political action. In this performance we can highlight the formation of the Congress Party, also known as the Indian National Congress in 1885, which was organized by the Hindus, and in 1906 it was the turn of the Islamists who formed the Muslim League. The development of the westernization of education had its contribution in the process. On the side, the Muslims, who saw this education as a threat to their religious values and beliefs. On the other hand, Hindus, by accepting this education, are introduced into the colonial bureaucracy. This situation did not represent the appreciation, or at least the recognition of Hindu values, as had been very evident in the so-called First War of Indian Independence, which took place there in 1857, and is also known as the War of the Sepoys. Many Hindus would go to study in the British metropolis in courses such as law. This contact with the academy can be understood as a double-edged sword, because despite bringing Hindus closer to European culture, it ends up deepening the awareness of their colonial condition. Racist England that prohibited Indians from frequenting certain environments, treating them as second-rate beings. Gandhi was one of those Indians who attended university, suffering prejudice both because of his color and his colonial origin. The concept of self-determination of peoples, discussed by some intellectuals, divided Indians into 2 groups. On the side, those who accepted a minimal self-determination, which would at least provide greater integration with the British Empire. But on the other side, under the leadership of Nehru and Gandhi, the National Congress Party advocated a full independence of the country from the British. Between 1919 and 1934, several acts put pressure on the British administration. In 1919, a strike paralyzed several sectors such as transport and public cleaning. The following year, a peaceful resistance began in which the maxim was not to collaborate with British interests, including boycotting the elections. In the 1930s, the civil disobedience movement gained strength when Indians disobeyed British laws considered unjust. This principle assumes that there is a natural law, which precedes the written positive law. Any law that contradicts natural law must not be obeyed. One of the most famous acts of civil disobedience was the Salt March, when Gandhi led a gigantic and ever-increasing 400 km march towards the coast. The act was a protest against the law that prohibited Indians from extracting salt, having to buy it in British salt pans. Thousands of Indians end up arrested, but the movement continues, even with repression and violence from the British. The images published in the international press strengthened an Indian struggle and weakened British colonialism. After the Second War, England was no longer willing to continue struggling to maintain its colonial possessions. It is not by chance that the colonialist project of Churchill, a British hero of the Second War, loses the elections to the domestic project. In 1947, in addition to handing over the mandate of Palestine to the United Nations Organization, England also ceded independence to India. The debate began around two projects. While Gandhi preached a unified India, Muhammad Ali Jinnah defended an independent state for Muslims that would be called Pakistan. With support from the British, the second proposal was the winner. Imagine the mess that followed this decision, Hindus and Muslims moving to settle in the territory destined for their religion. The rivalry over projects divided even Hinduism. This internal rivalry helps to explain the fact that one of the main people responsible for the success of independence, Gandhi, was assassinated in 1948 by a Hindu who disagreed with his proposal for a unified India. We're done here. If you liked this video and would like to see more videos like this, like, comment, and if you really liked it, share it on your social networks. Oh, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Okay guys, big hug.